Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your continued support. I have read this information about the shooting of Bobi Wine, the young Ugandan opposition leader. And when I looked at the story behind it and what is being explained, I realized that in Africa, we've got same monkeys, different forests. When it comes to upholding democracy and human rights, we are very poor, the African president. Because a few hours ago, the admin that is handling Bobby Wine's X handle went and informed the whole world that our president, His Excellency Bobby Wine, has been shot in the leg by police in Bulindo. He's been rushed to hospital for urgent medical attention. We'll keep the country updated on his situation. Then there is a video that is trending there where you can clearly hear the police giving order, shoot. So this was not by accident. If this video is anything to go by, there is a clear order to shoot Bobi Wine. And the reason why this caught my attention, and the reason I'm saying that we have same monkeys, different forest, is because while Bobi Wine broke this news to us, in Kenya there was heavy protest about human rights activists who have been abducted and their whereabouts is not known. A few weeks or months ago, Gen Zs went to the street and they're protesting against Ruto's style of leadership where he does not listen to them. They rejected the Finance Bill 2024, and with that, they went to the streets. And they are going to the streets agitated other youths because in Ghana, in Tanzania, in Uganda, in South Africa, the Gen Zs were being used as a reference, and youths all over Africa were saying that we need to go out there and compel our government to listen to us. Obviously, it was full of abductions, killing, maiming. People were killed en masse. In Tanzania, just a few weeks ago, the main opposition leader there, the head of Chadema party, if I'm not wrong, Tundu Lissu, was arrested on the eve of when they were planning to celebrate Youth Day there, and the government was saying that they had prior information that this was going to disrupt peace. In Rwanda, it's the same brutality against those who are not reading from the same page as the government. And the reason why, again, it's worrying. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni the other day came to Kenya where he attended the launching or unveiling Raila Odinga officially as the East African candidate for the African Union Commission chairmanship. And he took that opportunity to lament about Babu Owino, one of the youthful politicians in Kenya, also giving Ruto a run. He's a thorn in the flesh to Ruto's administration, calling it out the way it is. And Museveni said that as a consumer of intelligence, he's been reading or being informed about Babu Owino. And it is in a way he was warning Kenya or warning Babu Owino against his connection with Bobi Wine. So this is coming at a time when Africa itself is in turmoil. And the shooting of Bobby Wine is something that cannot be taken lightly, because you've realized that, in Africa we have the same problems: poverty, diseases, interference by external forces in our political affairs, and this kind of brutality. Before Raila gave out some of his members to join the government, it was the same thing being his members. And I remember during the demonstrations when Raila led the Azimio to go to the street, they were killed. Supporters of Raila were killed. They were being removed from the houses in Kisumu, especially the Luo land, and they were being killed. So police brutality is everywhere. That is why an injustice to, let me just use the term that they use, that an injustice to one comrade is an injustice to all of them. And that is how it should be, because I have realized that Africans will borrow and live from each other. That is why when Gen Zs, the Kenyan Gen Zs, went to the streets, they kind of influenced and gave impetus to other Gen Zs, and they got the strength to go to the streets, because they were saying, if it happened in Kenya, then we can also make it. That's why I'm saying the shooting cannot be taken lightly. I don't know much about Ugandan politics, but since I understand that these are the same monkeys, I can almost predict why this shooting was happening. I believe that, number one, we might trivialize what happened, but it could be an attempt on his life. These are things that are normal in Africa, and of course maybe all over the world, where an opposition leader would simply die, either by accident. They just create an accident, we have a head-on collision, and his vehicle, it is destroyed, and he dies in the process, by shooting, kidnapping, and is no longer seen. Those are scenes that are very common in Africa. So there could be a possibility that maybe they want to kill him. That's one possibility. And if they did not want to kill him, and maybe the reason why they shot the leg, because if they really wanted to kill, they would aim at the head or something. So you never know whether it was by sheer luck or they aimed intentionally at the leg. But if they did want to kill him, then it only means that they wanted to scare, or to send a warning that we mean business, and if you go further, because it is explained that Bobi Wine was going to see his lawyers. So either the government wanted to scare or to send a warning. When a leader has been injured, then some people could cool down, they could be cowed, and they could decide, now that it is Bobby who's being targeted, then we need to be very careful. The same thing happened when Raila was targeted during the demonstrations, and Rigathi Gachagua, the deputy president, warned that it was not going to be business as usual. So it could be a warning. If it is a warning, it is not only to Bobby, but to all his supporters, that if you play around, we will deal with you, because I've been trying to follow Bobby Wine. There was a time when there were a lot of abductions, members of his party. So it could be a warning to the supporters too. And also his supporters and associates all over Africa, people like Babu Wino, are being warned, because recently his name was mentioned. So it could be a warning that do not attempt. So that even if Babu was planning even to visit, Bobby Wine in what they call comrade partnership, he should not. Those who are advising Babu should tell him that for now, he should intentionally and deliberately remain a persona non grata. Any other opposition leader within Africa should avoid going to Uganda, because that is a warning. Having noted what is happening in most African countries, you realize that maybe there is something happening in Uganda that could be grabbing headlines, or that is about to grab headlines. So what does the intelligence do? They create something so that it is a diversionary tactics. You'll realize that maybe they knew that there was something trending, so they want to divert people's attentions, because now all the I believe so. I'm not in Uganda, but I believe that most of the newspapers are now talking about Bobby Wine shooting, how they want to kill him, they are targeting him, brutality and how Museveni is cruel. When this happens, the government will always get away with it because there's something they are trying to cover up. They can only do it by creating another scene, another thing that is another sensational scene. And I believe from where I said that this could be one of the reasons. Just diversionary tactics, trying to get people's attentions elsewhere. And one thing I must tell you that African presidents are very brutal. We read and we see what is happening. Killing to them is very easy. The machinery, the police, and all this. So these young leaders should be very careful because what is scaring the African presidents is what has been happening in West Africa. Remember how is it Sonko who got to power, who was elected almost unanimously by youth and majority of of Senegalese or voters in Senegal, and they know that there's a generational change where youths are taking over. You have people like Traore taking it by force and saying that we want to work for the people, and most of these presidents, especially those who have overstayed is a general term. Some will ask you overstayed for who, but those who have been in power for long feel scared, and that is why there is that wave really scares them, and they want to deal with the opposition leaders, you know, very brutally to serve as a warning. So, ladies and gentlemen, we condemn this. We really don't need to beat opponents. It should be politics of policies, not politics of brutality. And as I said, one injustice to or an injustice to one comrade is an injustice to all comrades. We are all intertwined. Our fate is directly connected to their fate. In Kenya here, it has been rumored that Ruto has been borrowing heavily from Museveni, this kind of brutality. Sometimes there was even a rumor that Ugandan forces were in Kenya aiding Ruto's brutality, police brutality in Kenya. That's why we get scared when we hear such things. The person who will take over as from Musa Faki should look at this kind of brutality. I wonder what the African Union Commission chairpersons are doing when all these atrocities are happening, whether it is Raila or the Djibouti candidate, because now it's, according to the media, it is turning out to be a two-horse race. They should pick it up and ensure that they talk about police brutality in Africa and maiming and persecuting of opposition leaders, abductions and killing. We must start cleaning our continent before we present ourselves to the outer world, to do business with them, to uphold democracy, because we would be here crying about interference from other quarters, yet we ourselves are not upholding that very democracy. So they find it very easy. The Western machination, the Eastern machination will find it very easy to get and commit even more atrocities within ourselves if we don't uphold democracy and the rule of law.